On February 19th of 2020, one of the most promising young talents in the rap game, Brooklyn drill music sensation Pop Smoke, was gunned down during a home invasion robbery in the Hollywood Hills section of Los Angeles, California. On Thursday morning, July 9th of the same year, the Los Angeles Police Department served arrest warrants for 5 individuals and took them into custody in connection with the crime. 2 of those individuals, unnamed minors ages 15 and 17, have been charged in juvenile court with robbery and murder. The other 3 suspects arrested were identified by authorities as 19-year-old Corey Walker, 18-year-old Keandre Rogers, and 21-year-old Jaquan Murphy. Subsequent to the arrests, it was determined that Keandre Rogers was in fact not yet 18 years old when the crime occurred, and his case was transferred to juvenile court. A move that may have saved his life, as now his potential sentence will be substantially lessened. It was also determined that Jaquan Murphy was not involved in the Hollywood Hills home invasion, but faces charges in several other shootings that occurred earlier in the year in Los Angeles. That leaves Corey Walker as the only individual, as of August 2021, who will face public trial for the slaying of the young artist. During a pretrial hearing for Walker in May of 2021, new details were made public about the robbery on Mount Olympus that left Pop Smoke dead. The following narrative is based on testimony at that hearing and on publicly available reporting as of the date that I'm posting this video.
A rising rap star shot to death before sunrise in a Hollywood Hills home. Police say 20-year-old Bashar Jackson, who went by Pop Smoke, was gunned down when several suspects broke in to rob him.
And tonight it took police about 17 hours to process the scene and gather evidence. Tonight, the LAPD hauled off a Range Rover from the home where Pop Smoke was shot early this morning. It may be the same Range Rover in photos that were posted yesterday on the young rapper's Instagram account. In one of the shots, Pop Smoke is in a Range Rover next to a friend holding a stack of money.
Just hours before the home invasion, fans say Pop Smoke was flaunting stacks of money inside his home on social media.
His address is right there on one of his shopping bags in his house, which is this same location.
Tonight, video posted on Twitter shows fans of Pop Smoke in the streets of his hometown of Brooklyn, celebrating his life and mourning his death.
On February 18th, Pop Smoke was in Los Angeles on a 4-day work trip. He and his childhood friend, Michael Duradola, were staying at a home he'd rented on Hercules Drive in the Mount Olympus neighborhood of the Hollywood Hills. The house belonged to Teddy Mellencamp, one of the stars of reality television program The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills, and daughter of musician and Rock and Roll Hall of Fame member John Mellencamp. That day, the rapper, born Bashar Barakah Jackson, and Duradola unwittingly posted images on social media that divulged the address of the home. A 15-year-old boy happened to see the posts. According to police, the boy conjured a scheme with acquaintances of his to rob Jackson of his thick gold-linked chain and diamond-studded watch. Early the following morning, February 19th, Jackson finished working at East West Studios in Hollywood. The recording facility is on Sunset Boulevard, just minutes away from the Hercules Drive home. Jackson rode in a white Range Rover with Duradola and Amelia Rose, a woman he had met that night, for the short drive back to the house. Rose and Jackson went upstairs to the master bedroom and Duradola to a room down the hall. At some point in the early morning, Jackson went into the bathroom that adjoined the bedroom, leaving Rose lying half nude in bed. Then Rose noticed the curtain stirring just before several men burst into the bedroom from the balcony carrying guns and wearing ski masks. One of them accosted Rose and aimed his gun right at her head. The gunman emptied out her purse while the others rushed into the bathroom. According to police, one of the armed, masked intruders who then found Pop Smoke naked in the shower was the 15-year-old who discovered the address of the rapper's rental on social media the day before. The gunman told Jackson to give up his jewelry. He did so, at which time one of the assailants sarcastically thanked Jackson. This apparently angered him. He rushed at the robbers, who proceeded to pistol whip Jackson. From the bedroom, Rose could hear the struggle in the bathroom. She heard a loud pop and heard Jackson fall to the floor as he stumbled into the bedroom. The intruders continued to beat him, repeatedly kicking the man, now suffering from a gunshot wound. Jackson managed to get to his feet and ran out of the bedroom, pursued by his attackers. He fled to the home's lower level. Rose, who remained in the bedroom, heard 2 more loud pops. Subsequently, she left the bedroom and ran down the stairs and found Pop Smoke on the floor, critically wounded. She started screaming and she yelled for Duradola to call 911. The 15-year-old gunman who'd set the plan in motion had shot Jackson 3 times before the assailants fled the residence, leaving the 20-year-old man bleeding to death at the bottom of the staircase. Pop Smoke's friend, Michael Duradola, was startled out of his slumber by the sound of the first shot. D, as he's known to friends, stepped out onto a wraparound balcony, peeked through a sliding glass door into Jackson's room and saw no one. He then ran downstairs where he found Rose screaming in terror as Pop Smoke lay next to her, severely wounded. Duradola called 911. The audio from the call reveals panic and confusion at 2033 Hercules Drive. The voices of at least 2 men and a woman can be heard on the phone line opposite the dispatchers. Duradola begs the dispatcher to hurry as the apparent sound of Pop Smoke groaning in agony is heard in the background.
Hi, do we have anything? Hello, this is the fire department. They're not talking.
Sir?
Hello?
Hello?
This is
The fire department.
This fire department's on the line, sir. What is, give me your, hello? Hello? PD, what are your numbers? Hello?
Who else is this? Bro, I can't impact me. This is in our room. Can you go somewhere else? I thought you played that way. I heard some shuffle. Yo, I don't know what to do.
Hello?
Yeah.
Hello, this is the fire department. I know, but you're not talking. We're already on their way. Units are already en route. Is the person who did...
I can't talk to you anymore. I can't talk to you anymore. Just
okay.
come here.
Do you know what to do?
No.
Okay, then listen to me. I'm going to tell you how to help this person.
I'm listening.
Okay, now listen. The person...
Just got here.
Okay.
No.
All right. Now, how many... Are you in a safe place, sir?
Yeah, I don't know.
Unknown, okay.
I'm going to sit down with
Duradola attempted to perform CPR on his friend. Emergency responders arrived and transported Jackson to Cedars-Sinai Medical Center. Doctors performed emergency surgery but were unable to save Jackson's life. He was pronounced dead at 5:12 a.m. After burglarizing the Hercules Drive home and terrorizing the people inside of it, the young villains drove to South Los Angeles. About 15 minutes after leaving Mount Olympus, they heard on the police scanner that the first ambulance had arrived at the crime scene. The man behind the wheel of the getaway car was Corey Walker, 19 years old at the time. Earlier that evening, surveillance cameras on Hercules Drive captured Walker's Infiniti when it arrived in front of the home where Pop Smoke was staying. Walker and his co-conspirators listened to a police scanner as their plan was about to be realized. Walker remained in the car as the others, wearing masks and gloves, headed around the side of the house to the back where they gained entry through a second-floor balcony. 2 of the teenagers who went in were carrying guns provided by Walker. "Don't use my shit," he told the boys, apparently advising them not to shed any blood. Soon the young outlaws returned to the car with the loot, and Walker drove off. The surveillance video that captured Walker's Infiniti on Hercules Drive put detectives onto his scent. They pulled his license plate number from the footage and found that the car was registered to Walker. They were eventually able to obtain a warrant to monitor a Google account associated with the email address on the car's purchase paperwork. Detectives took an interest in several internet searches by someone using that account in the hours before and after Jackson was killed. At 2:45 a.m., a search for the house's address and a visit to the LAPD's website. At a little after 4 in the morning, a search for the Hercules Drive home on the real estate website Zillow. The site shows several images of the interior and exterior of the home. The account's user also searched Rolex Oyster Perpetual Date Just, apparently believing that watch could be found on Pop Smoke. However, evidence detectives developed early on in the investigation was not sufficient to arrest Walker for the crimes of February 19th. 3 months later, a 15-year-old boy was arrested on unrelated charges and placed in a jail cell equipped with hidden listening devices. Speaking to his cellmate, the boy divulged his role in the robbery and slaying of Pop Smoke. The boy admitted to his cellie, among other things, that he himself had shot Pop Smoke 3 times with a 9mm Beretta after pistol whipping the rapper, and that he and his collaborators got away with the watch which they fenced for $2,000. On July 9th, Walker was finally arrested along with 4 other individuals for the Hollywood Hills homicide. Like his 15-year-old accomplice, Walker was also placed in a cell that was bugged. His cellmate introduced himself as a gang member, but was actually working for the police. Walker introduced himself as a member of the 7-4 set of the Hoover Criminal Street Gang out of South Los Angeles. Walker proceeded to tell the informant what happened the night of February 19th. He said that he'd driven to the house earlier in the night before the robbery with another individual to scout the location. Later, he returned driving his Infiniti, listening to a police scanner and chauffeuring his accomplices, who all had ski masks and gloves and who were armed. He stayed behind while the others went around the house. His cohorts later told him what had happened inside the home. Just before 8 a.m., someone using Walker's Google account looked up Breaking News LA and checked a local news outlet's breaking news page. Reports of the murder of the flourishing young talent on Mount Olympus were already making national and worldwide news. The preceding narrative and evidence was presented at Walker's May 2021 pretrial hearing. He was represented during the session by Christopher Darden, the former DA who was on the team that prosecuted O.J. Simpson back in 1995. Darden requested that charges against his client be reduced. He argued that his client had not pulled the trigger, nor had he even entered the home where the murder occurred. Detectives who testified at the hearing admitted that Walker had instructed the teens he'd armed not to fire the weapons. Part of the irony in all this, Darden said in his client's defense, is the person who shot him probably won't stay in prison a day beyond 25, and my client stands to spend the rest of his life in prison. I think that's fundamentally wrong, unquote. And in an apparent effort to help the court understand who Mr. Walker is and what a role gang violence has played in his life, Darden wrote in court documents of how Walker's own mother was slain by gang members as she tried to protect young Corey, then only 22 months old. When the Los Angeles Times wrote about the murder in 2002, it called the confrontation some sort of quote-unquote gang challenge. Darden's petition was denied and the prosecution's first-degree murder charges against Walker stood. However, in July of 2021, the Los Angeles County District Attorney's Office announced that it would not seek the death penalty in the case. Corey Walker has pleaded not guilty and is still awaiting trial. At least one of the individuals who took part in the robbery that killed Pop Smoke was also involved in another otherwise unrelated deadly disturbance that captured headlines the year before. On September 14th of 2019, one man was fatally stabbed and another was shot at the historic Rose Bowl in Pasadena, California, a few hours after a UCLA, University of Oklahoma football game. According to authorities, the men suffered their injuries after a fight in the parking lot at the Rose Bowl escalated and weapons were drawn. Police have not said which of Pop Smoke's assailants were involved in the other crime or what type of involvement he might have had. 2 20-year-old Los Angeles men were charged in connection with the incident a year later. On March 25, 2020, Pop Smoke was laid to rest at Greenwood Cemetery in Brooklyn, New York. Subsequent to his passing, Pop Smoke's album Shoot for the Stars, Aim for the Moon debuted in July of 2020 and took the #1 spot on the Billboard Albums chart. As of August 2021, at least one individual involved in the crimes on Hercules Drive remains at large.